Hello and good afternoon and welcome along to Destination Wellbeing. My guest this afternoon is Juanita Duke, and Juanita and I are going to be chatting about little donkeys and Juanita's new venture into equine therapy and bringing the wonderful pleasures of donkeys to the world, really. So thank you very much for joining me this afternoon.
Not at all. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Just as we always do at the start of Destination Wellbeing, just remind our viewers that if they do have any concerns about their own health or well-being or the health and well-being of children, that of course they make their first port of call always being their qualified health practitioner, as that just makes sure that they're set off on the right path. But the work that you're doing caught my eye on Facebook, and I thought this is definitely something that I think we need locally, and increasingly there's more and more demand to assist children and to give them the opportunities to be in nature and with animals and the wonderful pleasures that those can bring. So I'm really excited to hear a bit more about what you're doing. And this, as we said, is a fairly new venture, Juanita.
Very new. We're just getting started, really. I've had donkeys for a few years, so the donkeys giving rides is not particularly new. I used to live in Lisburn, and the council very kindly allowed me to give the local children, rides on Saturday and Sunday afternoons over the summer months. And I noticed that the donkeys who are particularly docile and quiet and calm and very, very suited to giving young children rides, I noticed that they seemed to have a particular affinity with the children that came to visit that had special needs. And I saw we had some quite emotional moments in the park whenever some children that, for one example, was some parents, they had 3 young children, and one of the children was in a little buggy, but he seemed to me to be a little bit old to be in a buggy. And then I realised that perhaps he had some sort of additional needs, and the parents said, oh no, he won't go on, just the other 2 will have a ride. But then the child in the buggy who was non-verbal started to indicate he won't ever go on, and the parents were really quite taken back. They couldn't believe that he actually wanted. They said, you know, normally he would be very timid, very afraid of things like that, but up he got onto the donkey, and the parents were just so thrilled. The parents were in tears. I was fighting back tears. My husband was choking on it. You know, it was just a really emotional moment. And there was another autistic boy who, or a boy with autism, that his thing was birds, that he obsessed about, and would be going along very quietly for a ride, and next thing he'd shout, blackbird, crow, but he'd shout it really, like he would scream it. But some other animals like ponies or donkeys might have taken a fright at a noise like that. Yeah. But the donkeys really just plodded on. They took it all in their stride. So that's kind of where I started to see how much joy and pleasure that children, not just the normal children, and for want of a better word, but other unique children as well, could get great enjoyment, and their parents got wonderful experience for their parents. So then I decided, look, yes, I've moved out towards Lochgall, which is just outside Armagh, and I have 3 lovely donkeys, and I thought, how could I share my love of my donkeys with other children that might benefit from them? So I decided that I would start really a little social enterprise, very small scale, home-based, and offer free therapeutic riding sessions to particularly young children, 18 months, as soon as really they can sit up a wee bit, support themselves, through to about 5 years. The weight limit would be about 4 stone, because the donkeys can't really carry any great weight. So it's really for very particularly young children.
But the importance bit there is that those are very much the formative years.
Absolutely, and sometimes little children that haven't even been diagnosed. So the sooner we can get children diagnosed, the more they can benefit from therapies like this.
As well. And but I suppose I'm assuming that either with or without diagnosis. So a lot of the time parents are going through the rigmarole and the red tape and all of the challenges that can bring. Meanwhile, maybe the child is still non-verbal or is still having difficulty with balance or coordination and things like that. And the symptoms, I suppose, are there. But maybe the diagnosis isn't as yet. And I know then there's also other chains of thought, and a lot of the work that I would do is that, you know, the label can be, you know, we don't necessarily need labels either. We do,
yes, they can be beneficial, but they can be a disadvantage as well, because you can slip through another net that might be of
benefit,
use,
or the label becomes, you know, sometimes even when we look at other illnesses, I was listening to a guy one day, evening talking, and he was saying, you know, don't ever refer to my arthritis. Don't take ownership of it. It is what it is, but let it be external.
Yes.
And children can sometimes, you know, nearly have a label put on and then limited
dictates
because it dictates who they
yes,
become.
yes,
So,
that's right.
but the ability to have you know, or the service that you have there that will bring on and can do so many different things. But and we talk about the pleasure and all the joy that can come from that, and it's allowed to happen in a very, I've seen horse therapy and other, you know, I know where they bring even into older people's homes and stuff like that, where they take animals in and pet in zoos and different things like that, and into school, into children as well in some of the schools and things like that. So but there is a science behind it as well. I mean, scientists are starting to very much discover these benefits and
there
what
is,
they can
and it
come
can be
from.
something as simple as just lowering the heart rate. It can be just a very relaxing space to be in, because they're non-judgmental animals, and just being around them is very calming. It just somehow their calmness becomes infectious, and what I do, I would really label as equine assisted learning, and there's lots of different types of equine assisted therapies and psychotherapies, but this is a very simple, in its basic form is just learning in the environment of animals. And I think whenever you're relaxed, that's when quality learning takes place. So it's really just a vehicle to allow both educational but behavioural and emotional and physical development to take place,
and allowing it to happen.
Just allowing it to happen naturally,
holding the space
while you're having some fun, because everything that we do is based around fun games. It's not just riding round in circles, getting a good balance on the horse. It's all about perhaps having little games where you're weaving in and out, so you're learning about your right and your left, maybe posting little coloured envelopes that you pick up at one end of the arena and you post into a post box at the other end, so you've got to be able to carry something while you're keeping your balance, to be able to lean forward to pop it into the box. So it's all developing core strength, balance, flexibility, learning about shapes, colours, just very much fun based, going out into the field. Obviously it's a one-to-one session, so I would be leading the donkey, and the parent would always be supporting the, you know, with the hand in the back supporting the child. So it's sort of but very much focused on the individual child, what stage of development they're at, and the program is developed around what's going to benefit them the most. So say we might go out not just in the arena, but we might go around the field looking at nature, maybe finding things that have been hidden in the trees or under plants or whatever, and gathering them up as we go along. So it's very much.
I want to go.
It's very much a fun-based
Can we get a big donkey that'll carry me?
I wish.
It sounds like so much fun. And you know, and that's recently in the press they were talking about reducing play. I might be getting this a wee bit wrong, but there was something that caught my eye where they were talking about, you know, that children needed to be doing more formal education at a younger age rather than, but they learn so much through fun and play.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're, you know, I notice even in my Relaxed Kids classes with children of all ages and all abilities, and the messages that they're picking up are so subtle, and yet they pick them up so, you know, they take them on board so much, and they're learning all of the time.
We're all learning all the time. Every second of every day we're all learning.
And you know, what you're talking about there in terms of left and right and colours and shape, and that'll stay with any child much more because of the association, even with a good experience.
Yes.
You know, whereas sometimes we try and do things like that. I mean, I remember the lectures that I remember most, even from college times, are the ones that were fun and interactive, and the lecturers who didn't, you know, make you suffer through PowerPoint.
No, it's ones where you're really engaged in what's going on.
And you still, you know, some of the facts and figures and stuff still stick in my head, but based on how fun it was to actually take that information on board. And I think, you know, the story you were saying about where the young boy wanted to actively engage, that's so heartwarming. I mean, that just must feel...
It was actually a really emotional moment, and it's something as, you know, as simple as that one moment that has led me to want to do this further, you know, than just that one experience. To, you know, because I know of other children, not of my own personal experience, but I know of other children who have been non-verbal and have spoken their very first words at a donkey therapy session. So it's not saying that it's a cure for everything, but what it is saying is every little bit helps on somebody's journey to get the best out of their life that they can get, and the benefits to each child will be unique, because it very much just depends on their own needs, their disability, and really their own motivation, whatever depth of connection that they can make with the animal. So what one child might benefit in some way, and another child will benefit, you know, in its own unique way.
And as you say, you know, it's every child, the process is unique. But every child is unique,
Absolutely.
So there can be no way of saying, well, each child's going to get this or this. No, it's going to be to the needs of the child. It's
sort of organic and just is what it is whenever they take part in it.
And it's allowing, I suppose it's really allowing nature to do what nature does best, and allow that connection with the outdoors and fresh air and all the benefits. So you've got the, I suppose, somewhat tangible benefits, as I said, we can chat about sort of the scientific benefits that can come with and the stuff that has been proven in one sense, but then you've got all the other extra benefits
just
around
of being outdoors,
of
being
having one-to-one attention,
and yes, absolutely.
And that, you know, and as I said, just even fresh air and a bit of exercise and all the things that can come with that in a safe and loving environment, really, isn't it?
Definitely.
Fabulous. And then, as you say, also with the support of the parents, because they're supporting the sessions as well.
Yes, very much about including the parents, so they can see what we're achieving, you know, what the goals are, what the aims are, so they can maybe do things of it at home even without a donkey, but they can still replicate maybe one of the exercises, so the next time they come they'll...
And replication is key with any form of learning, isn't it? The more we do stuff, the more...
Absolutely, so it's very much involving a parent or a guardian.
And family member. I mean, even I know a lot of equine therapy based work is specifically tailored to autistic children, and locally here we also have riding for the disabled organisations and the Special Olympics horse riding things. So there's
a lot of that does cater more for the older age group, because they're using ponies and horses, whereas because the donkeys are smaller, they can get that little niche area that is the much younger children that aren't really catered for at traditional riding schools, because their insurance doesn't usually start until they're probably around 5 or 6.
Yes, because
and then the riding for the disabled, I do believe they're again that sort of age group and up
as well. Yeah, so that was again what introduced me, and what I thought was very cute. You know, the little donkeys thing is that it's right from 18 months.
It is really as soon as they can kind of
to sort of
support themselves with a little bit of help from mum or dad with a hand on the back.
Brilliant. So. Excellent. So it's an exciting summer ahead, hopefully, for you.
Yes.
But also with the therapeutic sessions, then I suppose the model is that then that'll be supported by other activities that you're doing as well.
Yes, we have lots of other activities. So for the children who would be maybe a few years older, like primary school age children, we have Donkey Club, which runs on a Saturday morning for an hour and a half, and it's donkey themed activities rather than donkey riding. So they might take their donkey for a walk, so they learn stable management skills, how to groom their donkey, pick out the feet. Northern Ireland being what it is, you have to have rainy day activities, so there'll be indoors baking donkey shaped cookies, or arts and crafts, planting seeds in pot, maybe carrot seeds in pots, so that we can watch them grow and then feed them to the donkeys. And again, that's all about learning about compassion and empathy for the animals, communication, all the different sort of skills that you learn, you know, in just being around the animals, the responsibility, things like that.
And as you said, even the stroking and you know, the lowering of a heart rate that has been shown to to pet. And I know you were saying donkeys are quite happy to stand all day and let you groom them.
Absolutely. But it's also learning about how to be you have to be calm around animals, and if you're going to run around mad, you're going to get them overexcited too, because they're going to think, you know, what's going on. So it's all about, you know, containing your own emotions and realizing what impact your emotions have on other beings, not just other people, but on, you know, on animals as well.
Fantastic.
So there's a lot to be learned, and that's sort of aimed at all primary school age children. I would like to maybe do some adult programs as well, perhaps with people with mental health issues that could come and visit just for a half an hour or whatever, just as an outing to come and stroke the donkeys and be in their company. And so we're just starting off. So we're starting with the therapeutic riding, but I've lots of other ideas of how the donkeys could help in kind of in the wider sort of community.
One of the things that struck me when we were talking initially, we were chatting before we came on air about, you know, how everybody had a memory when you were doing park rides. You know, we all remember being at the seaside at some point, I'm sure, in lives, and the donkey ride being part of that. And I would do some work with Alzheimer's support groups, and it struck me as a lovely activity that would be really quite well linked in there as well.
Well, I did know, whenever I've taken the donkeys out and there have been elderly people, they've always come over, and they all have a story of a donkey, because it must have been a generation where donkeys were part of everyday life, whether it was bringing milk or working on the farm, bringing the turf in. But most elderly people have a story to tell about their donkey or the neighbour's donkey or whatever. They very much were part of life.
And they became very popular. I mean, I know even sort of prior to 2007 and prior to the recession, they really were quite expensive to buy donkeys.
Yes, yes.
And I know that has probably changed, because I know even with horses it has changed quite a lot.
Very unfortunately, there's a lot. My three are all three of them are rescue donkeys. The little Barney, when I got him, he was only 9 months old. He was literally crawling with millions of lice. He had rubbed all his hair off his face and his tail, and he wasn't a very well little donkey at all, very underweight. So, and the other two, whilst they weren't terribly neglected, they were very underweight and had very long curled up feet. I got them down in Kildare, and their feet were so bad that I had a farrier trim their feet in Kildare before I would ask them to stand in the horse box to bring them up north. So they've had a new lease of life compared to perhaps the future that they may have had.
Yes, and as I said, I suppose that's the side that we do hear, I suppose, quite a bit of in the press and different bits and pieces. But,
yes,
but
kind
it's
of
such
a horses-poor relation, really, and I think people think they're kind of neglected, and they're not really looked after because they're very, very stoic and they don't show pain. So, and I think that's how they protect themselves in the wild, because they would become prey if they let it be shown that they're weak or injured in any way. So, they just get turned out and people forget about them, and unfortunately there's an awful lot of neglect because they don't have the value, financial value that they did have a few years back. You know,
but it's fantastic that the story's sort of full circle, because you've got the rescue donkeys and they've got a lovely new life, and now they're
an opportunity
rescuing
to
and
help
helping
somebody else,
and helping other people. So
hopefully
it's a lovely synchronicity, or a lovely nature story again, because that's really what the cycles of life and cycles of nature are all about, isn't it? Yeah. So, and that opportunity, you know, we just can't talk highly enough about how important that is to have that time to connect with nature. And as you were talking about going out into the field and you know, doing treasure hunts and different things like that.
Just looking for different plants, looking at nature, whether it be shapes of leaves or flowers or birds in nests in a tree, whatever, you know, it's nice just to open your eyes and see things that perhaps you wouldn't normally see if you didn't go looking for individual things.
And an opportunity that not all children have now. You know, I suppose a few years ago, most of us would have taken a lot of outdoor time as very much for granted.
Yes.
But children don't have that same.
Yes, certainly I would have grown up outdoors, you know. Don't want to give my age away, but there wasn't a lot of television about
or iPads.
The TV didn't start till 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Or iPads, or, you know, and life has just changed. It's become so busy, hasn't it? And
it's lovely to be doing something outdoors.
Yeah, it's great. And you know, the whole benefit, even when we talk about whenever I'm doing some therapy work, we would do some grounding exercises, and just even in bare feet on grass is
Yes.
just such a fabulous
Yes,
feeling,
yeah, yes.
and so good for children. And then to translate that across, it really, I just love the whole concept of it. I think with the work that you're doing
Oh,
is really
thank you.
great.
Thank
But we
you.
mentioned some of, and I know we've talked through some of the benefits, but just to summarise the benefits. So for a child who maybe is developmentally challenged, in whether, again, as we said, whether with or without any diagnosis, but maybe where they're showing maybe less social interaction or things like that. So what would you see as the key benefits of the therapy if we were to summarise all of those?
Well, I think probably being around the donkeys is very relaxing, and if you're going to see benefits, whether it's learning or whatever, it comes from a state of being relaxed. And a lot of children with disability, say autism for example, are very frustrated and stressed because most of them have communication impairments. So therefore just doing something for half an hour where they're relaxed just gives them that little bit of a break from frustration that might be there with them the other 23.5 hours of the day,
or the rest of the week,
or the rest of
the time.
So
yeah.
I think it just, because it's so relaxing, and it's just kind of a natural process, really.
And then there are the very physical benefits of the balance and
Absolutely, and posture and core strength and proprioception, just learning, touching things that perhaps just judging distances,
yes,
those sorts
so
of
those are the very physical
benefits, yes,
as well. So you've got a whole mix of everything thrown into the one pot,
quite
really.
Quite a powerful therapy,
really, when you take, you've combined just the relaxation stuff there. We talk about the physical benefits and the physical benefits that can bring, again, for development delay, and where communication maybe can come through an equine session, but a lot of that comes back to balance as well, and to developing the right neural pathways. Not that I'll go into the whole neurology perspective,
and just wanting to be something that they can fully be engaged in, because communication doesn't need to be verbal for these activities,
which is fantastic,
which
as well.
is great for children who struggle with verbal communication.
It actually reminds me, I took a horse riding, went on a trek in Italy a few years ago, and it was a fairly steep trek up a mountain, and I hadn't been on a horse sort of outside of my comfort zone for a long time, but as I was walking along, and sort of the edges were getting closer to me and steeper and steeper, and I was beginning to panic a little bit, and I was really getting out of my comfort zone, and I was trying to get the horse to stop. And I know we're sort of going off a bit here, where we're saying it doesn't have to be for a verbal, but I was obviously making gestures and pulling on the reins and trying to get the horse to stop. The point that I remembered, that as I was saying, "Whoa, stop," the horse didn't speak English, it spoke Italian, so I could have been saying anything, but it was, it was really, and at that point it became, I really struggled then, because I thought, this horse doesn't know what I'm saying. And, but I was obviously able to communicate to the horse without words as well. So I can totally empathise with that. But for a few minutes, when I realised, oops, the horse doesn't speak the same language as me.
What's Italian for stop?
Please stop, So definitely, but that space, and holding that space without there being any judgment as well.
Yes.
So there's so much bundled in, and I certainly look forward to visiting. And
you're very welcome.
As I said, my only disappointment is that I can't get a donkey big enough.
Yeah,
But
well, there are some donkeys in England I'm keeping my eye on that are about 16 hands.
Okay, so my
maybe
horse
someday.
My brother has a horse 16 too, and he's a big, strong, fairly big, strong, feisty horse. So, but I'll come and maybe pet some donkeys.
You'll be very welcome anytime.
And certainly spread the word as well, because through my Relaxed Kids classes, I would work with some children that have development delays and things like that as well. So it'll all piece in together. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Not at all. You're very welcome. It's been lovely chatting to you.
Great, thank you, and thank you to Andrew and camera. And Destination Wellbeing goes out on a Tuesday and a Thursday afternoon. So and we have on our video page a number of previous shows and episodes as well, covering all sorts of topics, everything from pregnancy, fertility, right through to development delay, autism, Alzheimer's. There's a mix of all sorts going on there. Laughter yoga, and we're coming up this weekend. This coming Sunday is World Laughter Day. So it'll be a day for giggling and having some fun, and just maybe bearing that in mind. And the idea behind World Laughter Day is world peace through laughter. So, and I think there's a lot of that we could equate into animals and that as well. If we all embraced how animals live their lives, we've a lot to learn there too. So, whereas I think we sometimes think we're the superior race, but we could learn an awful lot from our fellow mammals on the planet, I think. But as I said, thanks a million for your time this afternoon, Juanita, and thank you to our viewers for watching in, and we'll see you back next week.